Hey guys, Bradley Hallman here. Glad you guys are joining me. Welcome back to the channel. I was going through some footage that I had shot from leftover from Alabama, my last tournament of the year on Lake, and I'm making the video for you guys for the tournament video, but I came across a piece that honestly I kind of forgotten about, and it's something that you guys have all experienced as well, so I thought it would be a really good conversation piece because it is truly a life-threatening situation that we run into. I've seen many times over my career, and for some reason when we get back to the docks, we just don't talk about it. The sun's shining and we're kind of over what happened first thing that morning, and what I'm talking about is fog. I know you guys have hit these fog banks before during tournament times, and I want to talk about the different ways that we handle that situation. Guys, if this is your first time here, please bump that like, leave comments, consider subscribing. It truly means a lot to me. I put a lot into these videos, and it truly helps me, inspires me. I can't believe that we're almost at 1 year on YouTube and how fast we've grown. I really appreciate all the support I've got from all you guys. I know that my hardcore bass fan is hardcore bass fishermen, and I love that fact. It's awesome. Keep it up. I appreciate all the feedback I get. This is going to be a big one right here. We're going to have lots of comments on this one, and I'm looking forward to seeing it because I don't think there's a final solution to this. I don't know that there is a hard answer, but we're going to work our best at getting to it. I know I can start with like telling you a story that an incident that happened to me in Bainbridge, Georgia. We were fishing an FLW tour event a couple of years ago, and this is just kind of an example of the kind of situations that we get into. But it was an FLW tour event. You know, we're running 160, 170 boats, and I'm somewhere in the middle. You know, basically 200 boats, and I'm in boat 100. And they start calling boat numbers first thing in the morning, and it's nice and calm and clear as a bell, and it's everything looks like a perfect day for fishing. And so we strap the rods down and we hit the gas, and we get about half a mile down the river, and it turns to a solid white sheet. And it is probably 7 or 8 miles out of this river before the lake opens up. I mean, it's a long ways, and it's a curvy, windy way down there. And all I could think of when I hit that bank was look, man, you got 80 boats in front of you and another 80 boats behind you. And I don't really know how all this is going to go down, but like there was nowhere to go. If I stop, I'm going to get run over by the guy behind me or the 80 boats behind me. And if I go, I run the risk of running over the top of someone in front of me. Luckily for me, the decision that I made was I knew right when the fog started that the boat in front of me was Larry Nixon. So I figured, you know, no one better to follow than the general. So I got on his cowling and I went. And I knew the guy behind me too as well. I had looked behind me, and I knew who that guy was too, and he was an experienced guy, had been on tour for a long time. So I had faith that he wasn't going to run over me, and I knew Nixon wasn't going to stop. So we went, and I got on his cowling and I rode it all the way out of there safely. But there was guys that hit buoys. I know that the guys damaged their boats in different situations on that particular day, and no one got hurt. And I think they had one boating accident, but it's a bad situation. So let's talk about how this comes about. It kind of comes about every time, like the things that cause it. You know, it's usually during the morning at takeoff. It's usually high pressure system, you know, causes these things. And when I say high pressure, that's usually following a front, whether it's a cold front or whatever, but it's usually blue bird sky conditions, or when it seems to be the fog's the worst, which would be a high pressure system. It generally tends to be first thing in the morning, and then the fog tends to burn off later throughout the day as the sun rises. No wind conditions, you know, like I said, high pressure, bluebird skies, no wind. This seems to be the prime time for fog. Also, it mixed in with that is anytime the water temperature is warmer than the air temperature is, which is in the spring when the summer's warm, when the water's been warming, and then we have a cold night and it cools off, or in the fall, we really experience some extreme fog as well because the water temperatures are just so warm from the summer, and the evenings are cooling off so much at night and it gets really cold. Both of those cause extreme fog situations, and this one in the fall is what you're about to watch now. You guys are going to see this is a long video. I'm going to start it right from where I take off and all the way down to where I hit the fog bank and then kind of run through the fog. So If you guys are kind of impatient, I understand. Don't worry about clicking ahead. Just click ahead, see the fog situation, watch that. If you're like me and you like to see the countryside of Alabama, then sit back and relax.
If you have mechanical issues, or you stop the fish, let those behind you know what to do. All right, boat 35? Yes, sir. You got 34, but you are 35. We got
All right, so you made it through that video, and as you can tell, it's not the worst fog that any of us have ever been in. We've been in much, much worse than that. But this was a great clip to show, to bring up this subject. Really, what we want to get down to in this discussion is, what are the ways that we can handle this, and what course of action do we take going forward? As a tournament organization, they don't really have, obviously we have fog delays, right? If you're inside the creek that the tournaments are going out of and it's foggy, we've all sat through those. This is a different situation. This is where it's clear wherever we're taking off from, and they call boat numbers. Primarily, that's when this happens, is first thing in the morning. So, like when you hit that fog bank, if you noticed in that video, I backed off quite a bit off my gas, but and still, like, you can just imagine oncoming a boat or vessel, and it would be bad. I mean, it would be. I don't know that you have time to react quickly enough if you both jerk the same way. I know that you're supposed to go right, but if the other guy doesn't know that, or his reaction's different, maybe my reaction would be different. I don't know, but this is a serious life-threatening deal, and every time that I've been put in this situation, man, I always wonder. Every time I've handled it differently, I would say. I know that there's been times that I've pulled over. It's been so bad. I know that we fished a tournament up on Fort Gibson a few years ago, and it was a regional event. And I was doing really well in the event after the first day, and this was the second day of the tournament. And I was catching them in the river, and I ran up there, and then once it bottlenecked down, the fog bank started, and I was catching them further up, and I decided just to pull over because it was just too much. And I pulled over, and I went down a stretch, and I actually caught the biggest bass of the day. The first laydown that I came to, I flipped up and went on to catch one of the biggest bags of the day. It was a situation where it was guys still running. You can hear them running in the fog once you stop, guys going. I know that in my experience in the past, I've seen younger guys. Younger guys seem to be a little more strung up, high strung, whereas older guys kind of think about it a little bit more. I don't know the correct answer. I really don't. I know that the story that I told you about in Bainbridge, Georgia, on Lake Seminole, when I got behind the General, before we got out of that river, we got passed by like 10 or 12 boats. I mean, they were flying. Dude, I could see Nixon's cowling, but I couldn't see the front of his boat. That's how foggy it was. So like that 20 foot, I couldn't see. And there were guys passing us. And I don't mean just like a little bit, I mean like passing us. So there are times when I think when it's like that, it's just better to get to the bank. I mean, I'm 46 years old, and I've got a wife and 4 kids, and I want to come home to them. And I want all you guys to go home to your families as well. And we all just get so wrapped up in the tournament and catching a fish, and we got to be here and we got to be there, and it's blast off, and we're all geared up. I don't know what the solution is. I really don't. It's something that we're going to continue to face. It's going to continue to happen. I don't know. Let's talk about it. You guys drop comments below, and we'll discuss. You got to realize that we're not talking about a Saturday afternoon out fun fishing. This is geared up, and I've experienced it in BFLs all through my career. I've seen this, and you don't know what the other guy next to you is doing, and that's really the scary thing. That's the scary part. I know a story at Grand Lake where I was talking to a GRDA Lake Patrol, and he had given a guy a ticket the morning of a tournament of a BFL, and it was a younger guy, and he was driving erratically at the fog, and they generally will sit at the bridge looking for guys it's a no-wake area, and he's looking for guys to blow the no-wake, and then he usually gives them tickets. But anyway, he goes to pull this kid over, and he never stops, and he follows this kid down the lake, and I say kid, he's probably in his early 20s, but he finally stops to fish, and this lake patrol has followed him all the way down the lake and was beside him and everywhere else, and he didn't seem to acknowledge him. He had his hoodie pulled up so tight and so little of vision, he said he could barely see, and he was just wiping the fog off of his glasses, that he was wearing dark tinted sunglasses. And this is what I'm talking about. Guys are driving and they can't even see. And you don't know that when you're driving a boat next to them or passing them, or you're the one in front of them and they're behind you and you have no idea. So you're putting your life into somebody else's hands. We really need to think about this overall as a group. We need to think about ways that we can handle it, ways to calm down, slow down, say, okay, you know, the fishing's going to be there. I'm just like you guys. I don't want to go to sit on a bank and wait for a 4-hour fog bank to lift when I could have just driven another quarter mile and it would have cleared up, which a lot of times that happens if you can get to a bigger part of the body of water where it opens up or where the wind possibly can be blowing. I totally get that. But we need to really take our time and think about that. GPS alone is not the answer. I know you guys have heard guys in the fog running all over the place with GPS, and I get that in practice situations or on fun situations where you're going 30 miles an hour. I think that's really probably the key that we're all going to come up with, is that, you know, if we really, really, really slow down and we get down to 30 miles an hour, accidents wouldn't be as severe if they happen, and you've got a lot more time to react. So, like I said, you guys leave the comments. I appreciate y'all being here. Until next time, I'm out of here.